when you're bearing in mind the next World Cup will be basically in our backyard, you know, is that something that you relish, bearing in mind it's 3 spots in Jamaica with USA, Canada, Mexico not in the mix? It's a chance that we can't miss in a sense.
You know what? I think we have to be really careful that we don't just assume we can't miss, because everybody else in the region is thinking exactly the same.
Stream.
So yeah, Jobi, firstly, I mean, welcome back to Jamaica. I mean, we caught up a bit, but how does it feel being here now compared to, I mean, when you're in national duty?
Yeah, it's been wicked. Always a blessing, you know, coming back, and actually this time getting up to spend a real good piece of time, because normally when you come in and playing, you know, you're here for 5-6 days maybe, playing again, and you're travelling. So you're kind of in and out, and when you're playing, you're fully in the zone and focused on the football side of things. So this trip, work-wise, first and foremost, has been brilliant. Really enjoyed covering the World Cup. It's been an amazing tournament. So first and foremost, that's been wicked. And then certainly the last couple of weeks or so, when the schedule's settled down, it's been nice to be able to get out, see some family, you know, reconnect with some people over here, and obviously bring my family out, which is really important. So my dad came out, you know, my children and my wife, and you know, that was really important as well, the ages that they are, you know, to be able to come and spend some time. So all in all, been an amazing trip. The only problem is getting home. We all want to stay now, so I have to find a way to come back and spend some more time, definitely.
Yeah, I know it's been, you know, work has been priority, but did you get a chance to catch up with a few of your former teammates for the Reggae Boyz or anybody from the Jamaican FA?
Yeah, so I caught up with my old roommate Rudy Austin, went out and caught up with the family. We had a nice day, saw him a couple of times, so that was really nice, because again, over the years you build up a real special relationship, as we certainly did. You know, you kind of link up or speak to families without potentially seeing them, so it's really nice to make that connection, really. And then yeah, we saw some old faces, certainly from the JFF, and obviously other people just during my time. Worked with Warren, of course, on the panel, so that was nice. So yeah, man, just probably not as many people I probably would love to have seen, but it's been a bit of a busy month, but always nice just to come and connect.
And I mean, earlier this year, I mean, everyone on the island was very proud of the award that you won, the Tom Finlay Award. So, I mean, this new role that you have with the English FA, the non-executive position, you know, how much are you relishing this opportunity, and how's it going so far?
Yeah, it's been good, man. For me, you know, obviously, for anyone who doesn't follow or hasn't quite kept up to date, obviously I finished my playing career, did a bit of coaching, did some management, which I really enjoyed, and definitely something I might look to get back into at some point in the future. And then the opportunity came up, you know, as you say, with the English FA, to be a part of the board. So again, for me, it's another thing to add, certainly in my learning and education in the game. You know, see the administration side of things, how really football works from that side of the table, being up in the boardroom when it comes to certainly making big decisions, you know, the finance behind the game, certainly the commercial side, the business side of things has been a real eye-opener, and really interesting. And again, I'm always someone who wants to learn, you know, pick up new things and develop myself personally, and it certainly gives me another angle and something else to really go and look to do potentially in the future. And since I finished playing, that's been my big thing, really, just try and find as many things I can to potentially go into and enjoy working with.
And I mean, when you look at, you know, persons such as yourself, Michael Johnson, Jason Ewell, all have done work with England. Chris Powell has Jamaican heritage, and he's done work with the senior England squad as well. You know, how proud are you that, you know, lads of Jamaican heritage, even former players, getting opportunities with England, you know, at different levels?
Listen, man, I think what we have got is, you know, in terms of a level of experience, you know, within the professional game, that I think we want to help and give back, you know. Certainly, whether it's the English FA, whether it's the JFF, you know, obviously I know Michael Johnson well. He went and managed Guyana, obviously got them to a Gold Cup. So I think certainly for myself and a lot of others, we just want opportunities to go out and give back and try and help. And, you know, again, put an input into whatever the FA is that we're working for based on our experiences. So yeah, it's great to see, I suppose, the opportunity being given first and foremost, and then for us to be able to take that opportunity and really go and try and make a difference. I think that's the big thing, you know, from our point of view, go and make a real impact in the game. Of course, to gain things ourselves and learn and develop individually, but there's so many people out there that we feel we can help, and yeah, from my point of view, it's great to be able to do that.
I mean, 6 years kind of feels like yesterday, really, the Copa America and everything of that nature. I mean, when you reflect on the experience that you had, that run in the Gold Cup, you know, you scoring in a penalty shootout against our bitter rivals, is there one moment that stands out more than the rest? The game against Chile, you know, so much memories.
There is, honestly, and I've said repeatedly, you know, playing for Jamaica for me, you know, was some of the best moments I ever had on a football pitch. And actually, you know, coming back, and even my first debut many years ago, you know, coming back after so long away, you know, going to play at Azteca, like you said, that Gold Cup run, playing against Messi, which at the moment feels even more significant now, going to see what he did. Yeah, Gold Cup final, some real big games, and say the win against Chile. So all in all, just a brilliant experience. Probably it's hard to pick just one out, and again, even more so than the actual matches, just being a part of that squad. You know, we had a real great chemistry, great togetherness every time we met up. You know, there was a real good vibe and energy in the camp, and you know, it's always an honour to represent the country.
Yeah, I was just curious about, you know, that Caribbean Cup trophy win that we got, the gold medal that you got. In your mind, was it always about, yeah, I was going to kick one of those, whatever happens, I would kick one of them, whatever happens in that final?
Yeah, for sure, man. You know, I think as the tournament went on, and listen, that's, in terms of a physical load, one of the hardest things I've ever done in the game. You know, they were every other game, every other day, the matches, and when you factor in, again, where we're playing them, you know, the climate, you know, the physicality of some of the games, and I suppose the expectation, but that was a real good, I suppose, reintroduction into the fold, and that was, again, special times to be able to win a trophy here in Jamaica, and as you say, to beat Trinidad in the final, who at the time had a very competitive team as well. Certainly a big highlight, and the penalties, I suppose, was just the icing on the cake. We knew it was going to be tight. We'd pretty much put everything into getting to that point, and it was just trying to summon up that last little bit of energy to stick one away, and luckily mine went in.
Yeah, I mean, you had that privilege at Reading to be with Sean Cummings, with McCleary, with Maps as well, being part of that setup, and McCleary's still playing, G-Mac is still playing, you know. Have you had a chat with him in terms of, you know, what keeps him going, you know, this song, and still keep himself in such great physical condition?
Yeah, listen, again, it's the Jamaican in us, man. There's no two ways about it, you know, whether it's, you know, genetics, you know, the food that we eat, the way that we look after ourselves. You know, I'm fortunate I went to 39, you know, playing professionally back home, and G's looking like no signs of stopping. Max has just got himself back going again at Burton Albion, which is great. And again, when I look around, and you know, for me, first of all, there's a love of the game for sure that we all share, I think, first and foremost. But then it's about, yeah, man, just trying to go out and enjoy it. And also, when I speak to these guys, you know, and I got told by many people that I played with over the years that your career is so short. So as long as you're enjoying the game, you know, and you're not too hampered with injuries, because you do pick things up over the years, you know, and you can really go out and enjoy the day-to-day, play as long as you can, man, because once you are retired, which I am now, you miss it, bud. So you get me. I think from their point of view, they're just trying to go as long as they can. Whether they can get to 39, we'll see, but they're doing a good job for it.
I mean, no one can ever question your commitment and also love for Jamaica. You've always been available for the Jamaican call, even that December window for the Caribbean Cup, which was not necessarily a FIFA window, so you've always made yourself available. So I just wondered, you know, after hanging up the boots, we still get a chance to catch the games or highlights online to see how the national team is doing?
Yeah, of course, man. That's, listen, I think even before I was playing, you know, and again, I'll go back to the '98 World Cup, and, you know, for me, you know, the Reggae Boyz always a country, a team that of course I follow. So whether I'm playing, not playing, you know, I'm always tuning in. You know, I know a lot of the guys who are involved now. Obviously, after I won't say retired because I didn't really retire, but I didn't get picked again. So you know, once I exited the international stage, of course there was still a lot of guys that I was very close with, and you know, you always follow their progress. And you know, for me, I'll be honest, I always frustrated. That was my biggest feeling whenever I left camp, or we didn't qualify for a World Cup, or even when we lost the Gold Cup final, because I truly believe, you know, with what we've got around the world and the talent pool that we've got to select from, we should be qualifying for World Cups every time. You know, we should be winning Gold Cups, you know, and we should be topping our qualifying groups for real, you know. And I think, you know, for me, that's something I'm really passionate about, and I've always been open and willing and available to try and help in any way that I can, you know, whether that's a phone call, whether that's coaching, whatever it is. And we've got so many people around the world. You've mentioned the likes of Jason Yules, you know, Chris Powell, like people that I know for a fact would love to help in any way that they can. And it's really about just trying to tap into that, you know, and make the best use out of the resources. And a lot of time we talk about not having financial resource, you know, which is probably a fair point, but we have so many other resources that we can tap into and use, you know, to help football as a whole in this country, and especially, you know, the national team.
Yeah, and I mean, you've always said that you'd want to help Jamaica in the future at some stage as well. You know, Maps is doing his badges as well, so somebody I'm sure you'll be quite close with the ideas and plans ahead for Jamaica and beyond.
Yeah, for sure, man. And again, even people are in the setup at the moment. You know, sometimes it might be, you know, people just reaching out for a conversation. What things worked well when you were part of the team? What things didn't work so well? Or, you know, in terms of strategy and organisation, which is definitely an area I think that all top federations need. You know, and I look around the region and I see the progress that Canada, in particular, have made. And I look at Canada and I have to applaud them. You know, they got top of qualifying, they qualified for a World Cup. You know, and where we were versus where they were, and we played against them in the Gold Cup. You know, during my time, and I've said repeatedly, if someone had told me at that point, 2015, that one of these teams would be in a World Cup in 2022, there's no way I would have believed Canada would have got there before us with what we had in terms of playing ball. So there's a reason they've done what they've done. There's no harm in looking across to other federations and taking some of the positive things that they've done, because ultimately that's where we want to get to. So, you know, I do feel there's huge potential still to untap. It's about how we do that, and for me, strategy and mobilising and getting together and sharing ideas is a big part of that.
Has either perhaps Coach Shafe or Tapper just called you to say hello, how are you doing, hope you're doing well, just catch up with you a bit?
Not so much. I think, listen, football's very much like that. You know, you work with people. I've had people day in, day out at club level, and then you leave the club, or they leave the club, and then, you know, you don't necessarily always keep in touch. Schaefer I have done, you know, over message and social media. But yeah, that's kind of the nature of the game, really. It's very much like that. Same with, I suppose, some of the national team. A lot of the guys that I was particularly close with, you know, Rudy, Ryan Thompson, you know, a lot of people like that, you know, I'm still in really good contact with, and some others not as much, but again, we've always, or will always have that bond that we share, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, you see the new coach that has come in now, Coach Halgrimson, a couple of games under his belt, some decent performances, and like a discussion we've had in terms of John Russell committing to Jamaica, what could you tell Jamaican fans what he could bring to the programme as well?
Well, again, a player I've certainly seen a lot of. I've covered a lot of him, current Huddersfield player, big potential, used to play for Chelsea, great physical attributes in terms of his size, and he seems to cover the game really well, really comfortable with the ball. Again, for me, and I know it's a bit of an issue for us in terms of positionally, but a number 6 kind of player, but you can also play a little bit higher up as like an 8, anywhere in that midfield really, but again, a good age, someone who I feel absolutely we should be looking at. And I think one thing we have done in the past, even through my time, you know, and currently, is when we go and look at recruitment, sometimes it's not the most streamlined process, and what we have to be looking at is a sort of short, mid and a long-term strategy, in my opinion. And you know, we need to get people involved now that are going to be involved in the programme for, you know, a considerable amount of time, so that we can build, you know, so we can grow and create an identity and a philosophy. And he's certainly one that I would put into that, you know, to come in and integrate into the squad. And also it's great that the younger players are committing a lot earlier. Again, that's down to us as a country, as a federation, going out and being aggressive and being proactive, you know, and speaking to players and finding out about their availability and their desire. Because again, it's not about just going to get anybody for the sake of it. There's got to be a plan and an understanding of why players are coming in to represent the country, and I think that's a really important thing as well.
And finally, when you bear in mind the next World Cup will be basically in our backyard, you know, is that something that you relish, bearing in mind it's 3 spots in Jamaica with USA, Canada, Mexico not in the mix? It's a chance that we can't miss, in a sense.
You know what? I think we have to be really careful that we don't just assume we can't miss, because everybody else in the region is thinking exactly the same. And again, someone who's been through it, and I've seen the quality and I've played with the quality, and I've played against the opposition, which is the other thing in the region. Regardless of how many spots are available, we should qualify for the World Cup all the time. Now what we can't afford to do is think, right, Canada, Mexico, US are already gone, so we must now be the next ones in line, because everybody else is out there working hard, they're doing their diligence. You know, Curacao in particular will go out and now start recruiting a lot of the Dutch-based players. We've seen in the past the likes of Haiti, you know, go and look in the French leagues, you know, and there's going to be teams. Costa Rica, traditionally the one that always qualify from our region, we would expect to be up there. So yes, of course we should qualify, given the scenario facing the region for the next World Cup, but we have to be really careful that we don't just assume that. And again, now with the coach coming in, and the feedback I've heard from the players that have been involved has been positive. But we really must start focusing on that now. We can't wait for a couple of years to think, right, that's when qualifying starts, or you know, we're going to really kick into gear. All those fundamentals have to be put in place from now, so that by the time that tournament comes, you know, you know, we've had a really good qualifying campaign, and we're going into the World Cup with real momentum. But yeah, man, we should definitely be looking at it as a real big opportunity to get in, and then once we do get in, making sure that we use everything that comes with it, whether it's sponsorships, finance, you know, spotlight that's going to be on us, that we really use that to help, you know, put money into the infrastructure, you know, and the development of the game in this country, because that ultimately is what we need to do to be able to do that and really move things on longer term.
Yeah, it's funny because you look at Morocco, you know, 14 lads in their squad born in France or Spain or Holland, yeah, and they're embraced by their locals, so it could be a domino effect for Jamaica as well, everybody on the same page.
Yeah, but I think that's the big thing for me, is getting everybody on the same page. And I understand in days gone by, I suppose, that hasn't always been the case. There's always been a slight disconnect, possibly. And again, that's something that is going to be a long-term thing to try and overcome. And again, that's where coming back to people that are going to represent the country, making sure that their motives are right. First and foremost, they want to come back and represent the country because they've got a love and a passion for Jamaica, you know. And I think also understanding that role, and from our point of view, it wasn't always just about the Gold Cup or the World Cup. It was, can we come and help the next one that are coming behind us, because we know the talent is here. It's about giving that talent the opportunity to get out, you know, and by getting to a World Cup and the funds that would come with that, there's a real big chance to help with the infrastructure of football in this country.